GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Here, what's shaping our city today: new housing developments, a breakthrough in local transit, and a community rally that's bringing neighbors together.
A cyclist was critically injured today after being struck by two vehicles on the bike path that runs parallel to Notre Dame Street. Emergency responders arrived quickly and transported the injured rider to a nearby hospital where they remain in critical condition. Police officers closed the lane for several minutes while they gathered statements and examined the scene. Witnesses reported that the first car swerved into the lane, followed shortly by a second vehicle that collided with the cyclist. Authorities have opened an investigation to determine the circumstances that led to the double impact. The investigation will include interviews with the drivers of both vehicles. Traffic on the adjacent road was briefly redirected, and cyclists are being advised to use alternate routes until the path reopens. Officials indicated the lane will stay closed until safety inspectors give the green light.
The city's plan to dismantle the makeshift encampment beneath the Van Horn Viaduct has been put on hold after a judge ordered officials to wait for a full ruling. The court decision, issued this morning, stops the demolition until a substantive judgment is delivered. City officials had scheduled the clearance for this week, citing safety concerns and the need to restore the space for future development. Lawyers for the residents argued that the order lacked proper legal grounding, prompting the judge to pause the operation. The site, located in the Mile X industrial zone, has been a focal point of municipal cleanup efforts for months. No timeline has been set for when the camp will be removed, and the municipality says it will comply with the pending decision. The pause leaves the encampment intact for now, while the legal process continues.
Vandalism against the city's public bike share fleet has surged, leaving BIXI Montreal with repair expenses of roughly $1.4 million for the 12-month period ending last year. The operator reported a sharp rise in damage to both free-floating bicycles and fixed docking stations across the island, prompting a review of the network's layout. Officials said the incidents, concentrated in several neighborhoods, have forced the company to consider relocating a number of docking points to more secure locations. The escalation follows a broader pattern of property damage reported throughout 2025, though BIXI has not linked the acts to any specific group. City transport planners will monitor the situation as they assess the financial impact and potential adjustments to the system's design. The added expense represents a significant portion of the operator's annual budget and could influence subscription pricing for riders.
The Parti Québécois announced today it will withdraw Quebec from the federal high-speed rail program if it forms the provincial government after the October election. The party said the move reflects its opposition to a nationwide rail network proposed by the federal government that includes a Quebec segment. Provincial leaders told reporters the withdrawal would be immediate, halting any construction or funding commitments in the province. Federal officials have not responded, but the plan envisions trains traveling at speeds up to 300 kilometers per hour between major Canadian cities, with a Quebec to Ontario link slated for the coming decade. The PQ's stance adds a new twist to the political debate ahead of the October vote, where the party hopes to regain power. The decision could delay federal timelines and raise questions about inter-provincial cooperation.
Supporters of Villa Maria College gathered in Quebec City this morning to hand a letter to the Congregation of Notre Dame, the order that governs the historic Montreal school. The petition outlines a series of unanswered questions about the institution's long-term status and asks the religious community for a clear timetable and plan. Representatives of the congregation received the document and indicated they will review the concerns and respond in writing. Villa Maria College, founded in the 19th century, has been a cornerstone of Francophone education, and its uncertain future has prompted alumni, parents, and local leaders to seek transparency. The group, composed of former teachers, alumni, and parents, emphasized the cultural importance of maintaining the college's legacy. They requested a response within a timeframe to allow families to plan accordingly. The appeal underscores the community's desire for definitive information as discussions about the school's possible restructuring continue behind closed doors.
Later we'll hear how a Quebec farm is turning a chilly greenhouse into a peach and fig haven, plus more. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a quick break. Let's dive into our top story, then over to Rashek for what's happening locally.
Aux Jardins de la Berger, a family farm in the Lanaudière region, began a new experiment on June 9th. Farm manager Marion Crapeau placed young peach and fig trees inside a naturally lit greenhouse that has no heating system. The idea is to test whether these traditionally southern fruits can thrive in Quebec's cooler climate when given a protected, sun-filled space. Peaches and figs are rarely seen growing here, so the trial could open the door to a broader range of locally harvested fruit. By monitoring growth through the summer, the farm hopes to gather data on temperature tolerance, ripening speed, and overall yield. If the trees succeed, nearby markets and grocery shelves might eventually carry homegrown peaches and figs without relying on imports from farther south. The experiment also offers a glimpse of how climate-smart practices could reshape regional agriculture.
On June 9th, 12 municipalities and 9 environmental organizations sent a joint letter to Quebec's Environment Minister warning that the province's groundwater use outpaces natural recharge. The letter cites recent data showing consumption exceeding replenishment, raising concerns that aquifers could be depleted faster than they can refill. Officials say the trend threatens water availability for agriculture, industry, and household needs across the region. The signatories urge the minister to review extraction permits and consider stricter management to protect the hidden resource that supplies drinking water to millions. Provincial authorities have not yet responded, but the coalition stresses that immediate attention is required to avoid long-term scarcity. Residents may soon feel the impact if groundwater levels continue to drop. The coalition includes towns ranging from Laurentians to eastern townships, each reporting declining well levels in recent years. Their appeal asks for an assessment of extraction rates and a groundwater management plan.
Authorities began a coordinated capture and vaccination effort on June 7th in the southern suburbs of Montreal. The operation targets raccoons after health officials warned of an imminent rabies outbreak that could affect the greater Montreal region. Trappers are deploying humane cages and distributing oral vaccine bait throughout parks, green spaces, and residential backyards. Veterinarians will test captured animals and administer injectable shots before releasing them. The campaign aims to create a buffer of immunized raccoons to interrupt transmission before the disease spreads to pets or people. Officials stress that the effort is part of a broader preventive strategy, complementing routine pet vaccinations and public awareness. Residents may notice increased activity by wildlife crews in their neighborhoods over the coming weeks as the program moves forward. The initiative will run for several months, with teams rotating to cover zones. Authorities will also monitor raccoon activity through cameras to assess vaccination coverage.
Police say a high-speed pursuit that began on June 7th ended in an arrest in Conowick. Officers attempted to pull over a driver for excessive speed, but the motorist ignored the stop and accelerated, reaching 217 kilometers per hour. Provincial patrol units chased the vehicle along the highway, and the suspect continued to evade, prompting a coordinated effort with local peacekeepers. The combined teams tracked the car to a parking lot on the reserve, where the driver was finally detained without further incident. No injuries were reported during the chase. Authorities highlighted the swift cooperation between the Sûreté du Québec and the Conowick Peacekeeping Service. The driver now faces charges for dangerous operation of a vehicle and for fleeing law enforcement, and will appear before a court at a later date.
On June 5th, the city announced that daily potable water production slipped by roughly 1% after officials appealed for conservation. The modest decline follows a report that a main water conduit had weakened, prompting authorities to ask residents to cut back on usage. Despite the request, the measured drop suggests most households maintain their usual consumption patterns. City engineers continue to monitor the compromised pipe, assessing whether further restrictions will be needed to protect the system. Water utilities reported that the slight reduction will not affect supply reliability for households, but they emphasized the importance of prompt reporting of leaks or drips. Officials added that the aging conduit will be repaired this summer, and that modest household savings like turning off taps while brushing can help.
Now let's turn to our meteorologist for a quick look at tonight's weather across the region.
Tonight's weather wraps up the day with a clear sky and a gentle breeze across Montreal. On this date, Montreal's all-time high reached 29.9 degrees in 2021, a mark set during an early summer heat wave that pushed temperatures well above the usual. The chilly counterpart came in 2016 when a sudden Arctic dip dropped the thermometer to 7.9 degrees, a rare low for early June. By contrast, the climate normal for today sits around 29 degrees high and 17 degrees low, so the record extremes remain well outside what we normally expect. Right now, the city feels comfortable at 24 degrees with mainly clear skies, humidity sitting at 52%, and a light breeze of 7 kilometers per hour. Tonight will stay mostly clear as temperatures dip toward a low of 16 degrees before sunrise. Looking ahead to tomorrow, the sun will climb to a high of 30 degrees, and the UV index reaches 8, so sunscreen is a smart move. Winds will gust up to 22 kilometers per hour from the southwest, feeling a bit breezy but nothing hazardous. Humidity will gradually fall into the low 50s, keeping the night comfortable. With the clear sky, stargazers can expect a crisp view after midnight. There is no rain in the forecast and no active alerts, so enjoy the pleasant stretch of summer weather. Looking at the next 5 days, Wednesday brings a cooler high of 26 degrees and a low of 19, but clouds dominate, and a 65% chance of rain means you might want a light jacket. Thursday eases a bit with a high of 27 and a low of 21. The sky stays overcast, but the rain probability drops to 30%. Friday warms back up to a high of 31 and a low of 18, still overcast with another 30% chance of showers, so an umbrella could be handy. Saturday offers clear skies, a high of 25 and a low of 18, perfect for outdoor plans. Sunday rounds out the week with a cooler high of 21, low of 14, and a 60% chance of rain, so keep an eye on the evening forecast.
Up next, traffic updates, a look at today's top stories, plus a preview of the sports season and chamber spotlight. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
A quieter sports board today, with no fresh local team update from RSS. A historic double for the Canadiens at the NHL Awards. Captain Nick Suzuki claimed the Frank J. Selk Trophy for defensive forward excellence, while Cole Caulfield took home the Lady Byng Trophy. CBC Sports reports both awards were announced Friday, a rare single-day sweep for any franchise. An emotional goodbye in Montreal. Brendan Gallagher, the longest-serving Canadian, says it is time to find a new home, his words, as he parts ways with the only NHL franchise he has ever known. CBC Sports reported the farewell earlier this month. A major signing in women's hockey. According to a person with knowledge of the deal who spoke to the Associated Press, star forward Hilary Knight is headed to PWHL expansion team Detroit via sign-and-trade involving Las Vegas. Sportsnet reported the deal Monday.
At the bustling waterfront of the Old Port, the Montreal Science Center welcomed a new kind of visitor, curious Montrealians stepping into a Black Mirror virtual reality exhibit. Inside a dimly lit hallway, sleek headsets glowed like lanterns, and a pulsing soundtrack guided participants toward a series of immersive rooms. One room invites users to pause a simulated life, write a personal goal on a floating digital board, then watch that intention ripple through the virtual world. I watched 12-year-old Maya, eyes wide, choose to learn to play the violin. And as the simulation projected her future self on a stage, she giggled, clutching the headset tighter. Across the room, a retired teacher named Jacques whispered his aim to volunteer at a community garden, and the display showed seedlings sprouting in bright, hopeful colors. When the experience ends, participants remove the headsets and step back into the center's airy atrium, their faces lit with confidence. The exhibit isn't just about futuristic tech. It's a reminder that a simple vision can spark real change. And that hope, shared in a moment of wonder, stays with us long after the lights dim.
On a crisp Saturday morning on St. Laurent Boulevard, the doors of the Maison du Refuge opened to a modest crowd of volunteers, families, and a handful of city officials. Former Premier Pauline Marois arrived in a navy coat, her stride measured, and was greeted by a wall of tiles that spell out home in 10 languages. She is here to request a meeting with Housing Minister Christine Freichet, hoping to secure a summit on homelessness for 2027. Merwa, who spent the week drafting a brief that outlines concrete steps, expanded shelter capacity, coordinated mental health services, and a partnership model, pauses at a table where a teenage girl folds blankets for the night shift staff. The sight of that quiet dedication, the scent of fresh coffee mingling with winter pine, underscores why the summit matters beyond policy pages. When Freychet arrives, the two women share a brief conversation over same coffee. The minister nods, indicating she will sit down later this week to explore the proposal. That simple agreement, a promise to listen, offers a tangible glimpse of will to address a pressing need. In moments like these, Montreal's community spirit turns ideas into action.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us tonight. That judge's move to pause the demolition under the Van Horn Viaduct gave us a clear look at the city's future. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. Stay safe, stay informed, and see you then.